Caleb, we're not going at 0. You're like smiling like as soon as it hits 0, we have to go. But y'all ready to go?
Sit back, turn it up and let it ride. Tune in any day or any night. You need to hit the like and please subscribe right now, cause you hanging with the guys.
Alright, so like I said, welcome into the Guys Podcast. We're going to do a quick introduction for those of you that may be new to the podcast. We do have a new face as well. So for those of you that may not know, my name is Chris Pullum. Chris Poole. Christian is my actual full name. I am, for my work, I actually work at Carroll University in Waukesha, Wisconsin as the Assistant Director of Campus Recreation. I'm also the head esports coach. For you older folk that don't know what esports is, because I get that question all the time from parents, it is competitive video games. So the students compete against other schools. And it's basically my dream job. I never thought that I could say that, but it's literally doesn't feel like work, which sometimes is a problem, but maybe we'll talk about that on a different episode. I'll turn it over to Caleb, who can also introduce a little bit of Andre, and then Andre can introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Caleb, Chris's brother. Been here before if you are a returning listener. Good to be here. I am actually from a new location this time. Was in Wisconsin, recently made a transition back to Texas. And it's good to see y'all. And Andre is also in Texas. I guess he can introduce himself.
What's up, everyone? Nice to meet everyone. I'm the first time. I'm the guest, so I don't really know what kind of goes on here, but I'm just going to go with it. So my name is Andre. I work at Texas Tech University, and I'm a residence life coordinator. And for those of you who think, are you just a glorified RA who works on the floor? No, I actually oversee all the building, the operations, and all the RAs and essays as well. And thank you all for having me on the show today. So
absolutely. So welcome in to Andre. We all are higher ed nerds, I guess you could say. Stans. I actually am from Texas. I'm sure Andre knows that, but so a little bit Texas based. I'm a Texas A&M guy, so apologize. I know they're playing right now. They're probably getting blown out by Alabama. I don't know at the time of us recording that, so that's just kind of an interesting thing. For those of you that may not know, our podcast is basically a safe space where guys, I guess you can say, we haven't had women on, which we would love to do that, obviously. Just have a safe space to kind of give our opinion without judgment or anything. Although sometimes we do have some banter amongst each other. Our main topics are usually pop culture, music, tech, video games, and then we all like to close it off with some type of nugget of relationship or just kind of a deeper conversation. And so not a ton on the docket this week, but we wanted to start it off with Draymond Green and Jordan Poole. For those of you, I'm sure everyone on the internet has seen it. It came out that Draymond Green.
Can we put the clip in?
But Draymond Green, Golden State Warriors coming off a championship, and Jordan Poole, who's actually a younger player in the league, actually from Milwaukee, where I'm at now, got into a little bit of a altercation. Earlier in the week, it was actually reported that it happened, and so some people are saying, "Oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Happens all the time." And then the video leaked, and we see that Draymond caught him pretty clean there. And so I just kind of wanted to go through us three and kind of see what you guys' thoughts are about that. There's obviously multiple layers that you can attack, whether it be the basketball side, the personal side, there's so many angles. So I'll start with you, Caleb, but kind of what your thoughts are now.
This is a weird one because I watch a lot of ESPN, Fox Sports, all that stuff, commentary on these things. And the commentary coming out, I think it was Monday or Tuesday when it first was reported, oh, it's not that bad. It happens in practice. Jordan did it. It motivated his team. They still won a championship. Jordan this, Jordan that. And then the video came out. And it's one thing to say that somebody got hit, but it's another thing to see Draymond punch this man in the face and him immediately collapse. So I think that it's really just, for me, the biggest takeaway is not really the incident itself. Although it is an issue that Draymond did hit his teammate, and it's obviously going to have repercussions, whether it be he gets suspended or eventually traded. I mean, we'll have to see. Or Jordan Poole wanting to get away from the team, just kind of like KD did eventually. it is going to be interesting to see like how the media portrays it as well, because a lot of the times the media and the way that people portray things is like Jordan is the standard, and like if Jordan did it, it's fine. But I think it also has to be readjusted. Like if there was video of Jordan punching Steve Kerr in the face and breaking his nose, I'm pretty sure we would have a different opinion about it. But or maybe not, because he's Jordan and he can do no wrong, I guess. So that's my biggest takeaway, is just kind of how people were trying to downplay it just because like it was just the words, and like because it'd been done before by this super high profile athlete, and then you actually see it, and then you do a 360 and turn around and say, oh, that's unacceptable. Like keep the same energy, whether it's there's video or not. Like you're never supposed to put your hands on anybody, especially after. And it was reported this way too. Sorry, I'm taking so long. It was reported that he like walked up to Jordan Poole. Like when the report came out, it said he walked up to Jordan Poole, got in his face. Jordan Poole tried to get him away, and Draymond retaliated. And that's exactly what happened in the video. It's like Draymond was looking for a fight. Like you don't walk up on somebody like that and not expect them to like say, hey, like get out of my face. That's kind of the rules of street ball. Like you can talk all you want, but don't get in my face. And I think that Draymond was definitely in the wrong there.
What do you think, Andre?
I think there's a couple takes that I've seen. I mean, of course, social media right now is blowing it up. Draymond did this. He's a loose cannon. And what I've been seeing is they're kind of coordinating this back to all the flagrant fouls he would have in like the finals, right? They're like, he's a violent player. That's all he is. But really what it comes down to for me is, altercations, maybe not to this extent, do happen in professional sports and even like college sports. Like this is a thing when guys get heated right in the moment, they're going to maybe push each other around, not maybe punch someone square in the face, but like that kind of energy, as Caleb was mentioning, like that's always there. And the way it's being reported definitely is not a positive. Now, one way or another, is there going to be a fine associated with this? I don't really know. I think, and I was reading earlier today that Draymond is taking some time away from the team to kind of like reflect on a few things. And I think, obviously he apologized to the Jordan Poole, the Poole family, the Golden State Warriors, the NBA. I mean, he's going about his PR as he should. But I think at the end of the day, these guys are brothers, right? They just want a chip. They have been through a lot, and who knows what could have been said that really pushed him to that edge. And in the video, by no means should he have gotten in his face, but Poole's not as big as Draymond, but Jordan Poole got a good push off. Like he's setting Draymond back a little bit, and I think that may have sparked a little more. But I've always seen Draymond as a chippy player. By no means am I like a Dubs fan. I'm not jumping on no bandwagon, but he's a guy. He's been in the league, I don't even know how many years, over 10 at least, right? Like there's no way he hasn't been vocal about this in the past with other players. So it's just really interesting now that after the report came out, the video came out, and everyone's now jumping to it. I think Stephen A. Smith said something, Shannon Sharp said something, not positively. I'm not going to quote them, and I'm not going to ask put the clip put in because, copyright on that for sure. But those are my thoughts. I mean, I think the brotherhood may be in question between those two especially, but they're a good core, and as young as they're getting, Draymond's still definitely a part of that core. So those are my thoughts. What about you, Chris?
Look, man, my thoughts are all over the place. There's the basketball aspect that it doesn't matter in the scheme of like X's and O's, and Steve Kerr will get them fired up, and Draymond's a professional. Jordan is young in the league and has to protect his brand and his money and his extension and all that. So on the court, I don't think it's going to really be affected. But if we're being completely honest, like if a man punches you in the face, like it's basically scarred for life. It's over for life. Like unless you guys are like best friends before that, or like brothers, family, and even family at that point, like it's basically over. And so watching Draymond today, actually at a press conference where he was kind of being Draymond, where he wasn't like, he was saying all the right things in terms of like, oh, I apologize, I'll take the time away and do that. At the end of the day, he did not really seem like completely sincerely apologetic, because he was kind of saying he didn't want to make excuses while making excuses. And so I think that that's going to end in one of two ways. Draymond's either going to get extended or not, and Jordan Poole will be the opposite. Like money wise in the future, you look at Draymond, he's getting older. He's never been a like crazy athletic person, but he is athletic enough to stay in front of players. And so I think once that dip off starts happening with his body, he's trying to be the macho man, but he can't really necessarily back it up with his play anymore. And looking at the reports of what Jordan Poole was saying to him about him, averaging a triple single and all this stuff, he's chirping at him. I don't know if you heard that, Caleb, but Jordan Poole's letting him have it. And so I think that some of those things obviously got in his head. They're like, because they're true, and it's inevitable that Jordan Poole is kind of the next. I mean, if you've seen this guy play, he can play. And so I think there's definitely some of that fear in the back of Draymond's mind of like, look, man, my time here is coming up. I got to enforce and show you, like, you're not going to come here and just think that this is your team now because you want to chip. So I think he was trying to send a message, but like Caleb said, someone comes in your face, they push you. I mean, Draymond had one or two options. I mean, I guess you can say three. He could shove him back and let people break it up. But if you look at the video, no one even is like looking. Like they're like, "Oh, this happens all the time." Like, yeah,
because you don't
exactly.
think gonna punch.
And so when the push happens, Draymond has two options. I'm either gonna rock him, like square up, or I'm gonna push him back. And I guess the third option is like just backing away. But this is Draymond Green we're talking about, and so it was just like it was kind of a lose-lose situation in that the chirping's gonna happen. Draymond's prideful. Jordan Poole's from Milwaukee, so he's gonna talk. It's just it's just two things that kind of don't really go great together. But
I think the thing that's kind of underlying, and you made a point towards it, is like they both have to get paid like soon, and so we've seen this before with Draymond. Like him and KD got into it, and it wasn't just in practice; like it was on the court. We saw it, and the thing that happened there was KD ended up leaving. But if it came down to it and they had to choose between KD staying and Draymond leaving, it probably would have been Draymond. And I think something similar here might happen. Like if it's between Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, I'm pretty sure that the Warriors are going to go with Jordan Poole because he's 24, 25 years old. Like if that,
like 23.
And he's a hooper. Like he can get buckets. And so I think that Draymond, he's a Warrior for life, and his number will probably be retired there, but he might not be long for the Warriors, especially because he's up for an extension this summer. So.
And Caleb, I'm going to build off that. I think it's really interesting because when I started reading the reports, it's like, oh, this is all about the contract extension, right? They want to show that, like, there were some takes I read of, like, they both want to show they have that fire in them, that they want their other teammate to be better, let alone the Draymond punching him in the face really diminishes part of that. But when you look at today's NBA, right, you don't have players of Draymond's caliber anymore, right? You have these young, flashy guards who can even play the three. I mean, when the Warriors go small ball, I wouldn't be surprised to see Poole at the four even. Yeah. Like, Steve Kerr has some crazy combinations built up there, and I think Draymond is, I mean, he's a vet. I think he's worried about his spot. The way I think of Draymond, and I don't see them as a clear comparison. I don't want to start this here, but I think of Draymond as like a PJ Tucker, right? Like the man was forced to play center down in Houston. He got bullied around, and he's going around the league. And I think Draymond doesn't want to get to that point with how players are becoming younger, faster, more agile, playing different positions. So I think bringing up the contract extension point really does touch on that. But I think there is something deeper motivated between those two and kind of what happened at that practice. And I don't think it'll even come out to the media at any point. I think that's going to have to squared away between Jordan and Draymond as men. So
absolutely. And I looked this up, 23 years old, 1999. So he just turned 23. He's literally 10 years younger. We'll see how it plays out. We obviously wish them the best. Like, we don't want them to be fighting and things like that. I mean, motivation for me is that the Lakers and LeBron will have a better, shot. But that's just selfishly of me. So we'll go on to our next topic. And so we typically like to throw in some tech. It is that what MKBHD will call tech timber. A lot of technology coming out. Obviously, you have the new iPhone slate. You have some AirPods. But for me, I'm a gamer, esports coach. And so I'm really intrigued with the slate of games that's coming up. And so I'll just talk about those first, and then I'll kind of pass it to you guys and talk about your interests and what you're looking forward to. Obviously, we had this week, at the time of recording, Overwatch 2. came out, and so that is a game that has been a long time coming for Activision and that company, and so very interested to see how the player base has been receptive of that. They've actually liked it more than I think initially they thought they would. I've actually played it. I actually enjoy it. I'm horrible at Overwatch, but I want to play more because I think it's an enjoyable experience. Call of Duty comes out in 2 weeks, and I am a Call of Duty guy. I think this is the year that they have, it's a make or break for them. And so Vanguard, if you know anything about Call of Duty, was not it. It just wasn't. It was
not
it. Was probably the worst game they've ever released. I mean, and that's a high bar. Call of Duty obviously is Call of Duty for a reason. But in terms of like AAA Call of Duties, it was probably the worst ever. And that's not even me like having revisionist history. It's just kind of the truth. Obviously coach Call of Duty, so I have a blast coaching them. I think we made the best of the year. But they're in a position now that like they want to take all these risks, and I played the beta. But this is the make or break. If they don't get this right, it could really start a trend of downward trajectory. And you can kind of look at what Halo did when they launched their game, the mistakes they made and the things they did well. Battlefield 2042 last year, horrible release, but still worse than Vanguard still outsold them by, billions of dollars. So it's crazy. I think Call of Duty really needs to focus on that. Next week on Friday, we got PGA 2K23. Really excited for that. Got Steph Curry in the game, Michael Jordan in the game, Tiger Woods making his return to a video game and golfing, which is a super huge deal to me. So yeah, that's super exciting. And then yesterday, actually, Need for Speed released a trailer for their new game. So that's probably the only single player game that like inspires me completely to play. So obviously there's a multiplayer aspects of it. Super excited for that. And I think what potentially could be the game of the year coming up in the next like 6 months or so is Hogwarts. They have me very intrigued about Hogwarts.
I haven't even seen
It's a single player game, but it's kind of open world, and you choose, you get your house, you get sorted with the hat, and you kind of just go, obviously do missions, but it's free roam. You can explore and do those types of things. I think two things would make it to the next level and be like one of the greatest of all time. One is multiplayer, obviously. Being able to like just walk around and like start dueling people and stuff like that'd be crazy. And Quidditch. So there's a video game when we were younger, kid, Quidditch World Cup. If they implement that game into there, I think it's amazing. I have a ton more thoughts about the new Apple lineup and tech and all that, the new graphics cards that are coming out, but I don't want to belabor the point. I'm going to focus on the gaming side. Super exciting time. Crazy to see how far we've come since we were like younger, like graphically and all the tech that's coming out. It's like insane that kids nowadays grow up with that normally. One more point I'll make. I'm sorry. I know I'm really ranting right now, but I was making a point to like my students of like, one, like we're not as good at gaming as they are because of the access, but like we legitimately played on box TVs, and we were considered like blessed to have box TVs, big box TVs with the coaxial cables, the like white and yellow, and we were like locked in. And these kids are playing with top of the line 4K monitors, 27 inches. Like they're so blessed. Fiber internet, like it's just insane. We're on Wi-Fi at like 2 megabytes per second. So it's just crazy. Times are changing. I won't belabor the point. I will let one of you two get to your thoughts.
I can go, I guess. So for me, I think the biggest recent tech thing that's happening, I guess there's two big things. First is Intel releasing their graphics card. So I guess for those who aren't really in the loop, there's really two major players when it comes to graphics cards and like graphics processing in the computer world. Previously, that was AMD, who makes the Radeon series of graphics cards, and then the really big player is NVIDIA, and they make the G series and RTX series of graphics cards, which are the top of the line, best of the best graphics cards in the consumer space. And so recently, it's been a few years in the making, and we've kind of known that it was coming for a while. But I think as of October 10th or 11th of this year, Intel is going to actually be releasing their Intel Arc graphics cards into the wild, and they look pretty good, and that's very promising. And because it's a first generation product, it's obviously not going to be perfect. Just initial reviews and initial things that are coming out about the graphics card are saying that like older games and things that aren't well optimized aren't going to work well on the card. So like if you're trying to play old school games, old school PC games on the card, it's not going to really do too much for you. But if you're playing the newest games that are optimized with like the newest coding, and or you're trying to do anything like ray tracing, AI, graphic design, things like that, price to performance wise, you're getting high end, top of the line stuff for, I'm not going to say basically nothing, but for way less than you would pay with AMD and and Nvidia, and especially because graphics card prices have been crazy expensive for the past 2, 3, 4 years with crypto going crazy. It is really nice to see that there's another person who's kind of breaking up the market and saying like, hey, we gotta do better. So I really hope that Intel does well with their graphics card, and I actually have considered getting one just because I'm not a huge gamer. I'm more of the graphics design, video production type of user, and I think that it might work well for what I need it to do. I'm probably going to need to look at a little bit more testing and see that it works with some specific programs like live streaming programs and things that I use. But I am very excited. And then on top of that, I think that there's a lot of innovation going on in the artificial intelligence space as well. Just because we have these crazy 30 or 4090s and graphics cards and processors that can now do computation on such a crazy level. Sorry, I'm taking so much time. Doing all of this processing on such a crazy level at home, you now have things that are generating pictures based on text that you give it in a Discord server, and Facebook or Meta and Instagram and Google are now working on ways in which you can put in a sentence and it'll generate like a 10-second clip of something, a video clip. It's wild, and it's crazy to see how far artificial intelligence, and especially like artificial intelligence that's based on like art, how far that's come in the past like 5 or 10 years. And it's going to be pretty cool to see how people take that and grow with it, especially with the tools available with these new graphics cards.
So I think both.
I guess it's you, Andre.
Mean, I appreciate y'all leaving not the best for last, but I'm gonna try to do my best here. I think you both brought up some really good things. Chris, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm not the best COD guy, but I grew up on COD, right? I played the alpha and the beta of Black Ops Cold War, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be bad." I loved it. Great game. I was in love with it. It was great.
I know you can't see. But Cold War poster on the wall. I am a Treyarch.
Okay.
I'm a Treyarch fan, so you're speaking my language.
Or Stan. Yeah. We can say what we got to say there. Listen, man. I played the Vanguard beta. I did not download it right after that. I said, "Nope, I'm okay."
Look, Andre, Anthony, who's been on this podcast before, we legitimately hopped in. We played the first game, like immediately. We're like, no. We were like, all right, maybe it's the map. Maybe we're just not used to it. We played one more game, and we were like, no. We didn't play again.
So
the only thing that go ahead, Caleb.
I'm not a COD player, so like, what
is not
bad?
Oh my gosh, I could tell you everything. The guns don't have recoil. The maps are horrible. The color grade is horrible. You can break through everything. You can shoot through everything. The movement is crazy fast. You die super fast. Like, everything. It's just not great.
They tried to, it seemed, at least in the beta when I played, they tried to combine the, like, Advanced Warfare and those other games, like, in between these big AAA, like, ones that hit home, and they try to put it all in Vanguard. And when Vanguard is the third or fourth Call of Duty game, to my knowledge, that's supposed to be set in World War II era, and it just didn't work. Like, how am I shooting electric rounds out of my MP4? Like, that doesn't work for me. So yeah, I'm super excited. I did play the beta for Modern Warfare. I thought Modern Warfare 19 was a really
Yeah.
overall well game, and I'm interested to see how they build off of that with this new iteration. Coming back to what you said, Caleb, about AI, I've seen some of those, like, type in show me this into like an AI generator and what it will pull up, and just unbelievable how it can just do it now, right? Like, we're growing up in school, that wasn't a thing. It was your own imagination of what you think this would mean. So in the world of gaming and tech, there's so much more. And as you talked about, like, that students and kids are blessed with today that we didn't have growing up. I love getting my VGA cables mixed together, plugging them in the wrong spot. Like, I remember those days. And, I was talking to one of my staff members about, like, how I used to rewind a tape on a VCR, and they just dropped their jaw and said, "What's a VCR?" And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, "Gosh, are you like in your 40s?" And I'm like, I am genuinely hurt. I don't want to have this discussion right now, but, like, it's crazy how things have progressed to where they are now. My last kind of thing that I'll throw out there, that's not what either you talked about. When Caleb told me this was going to be one of the topics, what I thought about is, so originally I'm from Minnesota, and in Minnesota we have the Mall of America, and there's this one experience. It's a movie theater, and it's an immersive. It's not 3D. It's a 4D experience. With how VR is just getting more and more, like, advanced and everything, when is 4D going to break into, like, the gaming community? When is that next layer going to be added in? And I was just curious, what do y'all think about that? I mean, I think genuinely, I don't know if I'd be ready for that yet. I don't know what the timeline would be, but it's something interesting to think about. If they added a 4D dimension, how would that work with, especially today's games, and the youth playing today's games? How would they react?
Yeah,
to
so I'm trying to look for my controller. PlayStation 5 has the DualSense controller now, which adds tension and things to the triggers. And there's a video actually this past week from Marquez, MKBHD, about virtual reality and these gloves that essentially allow you to feel what you're doing. Whether that be like water, it adds special things to, your touch. And so 4D, I know, would be more, there could also be smell and things like that. But I think basically the point he was getting at is that applying tension to your limbs, maybe having boots that are able to provide feedback there. And so there are definitely ways in which I can see it growing. I'm personally am not in that market. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not a fan of VR. It gives me a headache. I think it's a really cool concept, and so if it's developed out enough where they can solve all those problems with, like, weight of the headband and how cost effective it is, and integrating it into our daily things that we are using. So I have a PS5. There is a PSVR, but, like, how much are they really pushing it? Xbox has kind of backed away from it quite a bit after their Kinect, which was groundbreaking. Xbox Kinect, like, literally blew my mind when we were kids. And to see that they kind of are not really going full steam ahead kind of shows how, like, the lack of the market now is. And so I think we'll see, actually, Facebook and Meta are probably going to take the lead there of, like, what that looks like in that space, because they have so much money. And then I think the gaming sphere and all of those things will follow. Obviously, there's AI in cars, with, like, self-driving and all that. So I think it's all integrated and working together. I just don't know how, like, it's crazy to, like, think of how fast tech is moving, but, like, the consumption of human brains and, like, how we want to adapt is not as fast as that. Like, we're still used to obviously driving, pumping gas for some people. Like, so it's going to take longer for, I think, us as humans to adapt. And so the youth of today are definitely different than that. They can go from thing to thing to thing. Like, it's kind of insane.
I'm interested in the same thing. Like, when are we going to get to that fourth dimension or to that next level of gaming? It's definitely coming, whether we like it or not. And I think that right now we're at a place in VR. We're still at the coaxial. We're still, like, at that place where we're standard definition. How, we were plugging in the Xbox, original, and we thought it was groundbreaking. And that it was, like, the best thing ever. And I mean, it was at the time, but looking back, what's 20 plus years now? Something like that.
16
later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
it's
been a while. So, like, looking back now, it's been, there's so much that's happened between that original Xbox, which was groundbreaking, and the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox um, series and all that stuff. So I think that we kind of have to think about it in a way of where like VR is still in those like infancy stages. It's not quite at the Atari because they've kind of gotten all of the, bugs worked out, and they've gotten to a wider audience where it's a little bit more accessible. I think now it's going to be on the people who were introduced to VR when they're 14, 15, 16 years old to take an interest in it and to start developing new ways in which they can interact with it, because it's going to happen. And I think that once we get maybe even 10 years down the line, 10 or 20 years down the line, like you said, it's going to be 4D. We're going to have gloves and boots and all these different things where that is the way that you interact with your console. And so I think PlayStation knows that, and that's why they tried to add that element to their controller. I wouldn't be surprised if people like Nintendo and Xbox take note of that and start adding things similar to that. But I do think that like we're not too far removed from it being wider scale. But I think where this innovation is really going to take place is in the more niche markets where it might be used for people who have mobility issues or people who are testing things for industries. That's where like the high end innovation is going to be. And then once those people have paid all of this money to develop, they will then, trickle it down to everyone else.
So I got one more thing, and I totally forgot. And this actually is getting me pretty excited. So anything about the MCU, love it. I adore it. And I think there's a new kind of contender in that sphere, right? It's always been MCU or DC, and really who really talks about the other, but I'm not going to go into what's better. Did you guys see Nintendo Studios and what they're trying to pull here? I mean, with one movie, I can see this going as far and as wide as the MCU, and I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are about that, because that trailer, I can't agree with Chris Pratt as Mario. Just the voice, it throws me off a little bit, but like that looks great.
I am very interested. I guess we'll have to see it to believe it, but the initial trailer does look pretty nice. And I think that there's going to probably be a lot of Easter eggs and nostalgia that really pushes Nintendo to that next level. And Nintendo also has the family-friendly Disney aspect to things where they're not going to get their movies blocked in China or have to, do things like Marvel is going to have to do in order to get things widely distributed. So I think they do kind of have an edge there. Like they have the market pretty locked down already in terms of video games, and I think that Mario is up there with Mickey Mouse and all of these people in terms of brand recognition. So if they do it right, they can have another successful media franchise on their hands.
I wasn't too I saw the announcement come out. I saw a couple clips, but I didn't watch it completely, to be honest. I don't know. It's not my. I guess this kind of goes back to when we were kids. We weren't Nintendo people, and so like the lore of like the Nintendo Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Super, it just never was my like cup of tea. But I know like my students were super excited about it. I also saw the thing about the voice. I think they are in the slippery slope. And I saw that thread is like if they have him change his voice to Italian, that's like super like kind of potentially offensive. And some people think that Mario in itself is already offensive as a character or like a stereotype. And so I think they kind of had to just do your normal voice because we don't want people to be up in arms. So yeah, I think it's a super interesting thing. It's going to make
and you have to think he's not the only voice of Mario. Like there's going to be however many languages it's translated in. Like it's going to be a global phenomenon. And the way that the trailer looks, Bowser looks overpowered, by the way.
Super OP.
But we could talk
Jack
about
Black
that
as
on another,
Bowser? I can't,
another
man.
podcast.
Yeah, it should be a good time. I mean, there's a ton of good movies coming out. Black Panther will be coming out next month. Avatar 2, we'll see if they're able to, because it's a different time. So when it came out, the original, I'm sorry, segue, but we got the time. Avatar, the original, was so like crazy. It was kind of like the Star Wars of like the 70s. Like, look at this. This looks amazing. It holds up to this day. we've never seen anything graphically. But me as a storyline, I wasn't like, this is an amazing story, like me personally. So it'll be interested to see if like now that every single movie looks to the level that Avatar did look, like all the MCU movies now look like on par, if not way more or way better. And so let's see if the writing and storyline is able to kind of carry Avatar 2, 3. I think they had 6 slated, 2 are already recorded. So I think box office wise, 2 is going to be huge, but like, will it actually be good? Because they re-released Avatar 1 in theaters, and the actual like Rotten Tomatoes like went down. Because Avatar used to be like a 99%, like one of the greatest movies. But like you look now, it's still a really good movie, but like the newer aged people are not like blown away like we were when we first see it. Like Caleb knows, our parents watch that like every day. Like, they literally bought a PS3
literally
for the Blu-ray player to watch that movie. We couldn't even play the PS3. It was just for Avatar. And so it's crazy. But we'll move on to our next topic. We've got a couple more topics to talk about. I saw this resurfacing online. I think it's actually kind of an older argument now in social media time. But it was resurfacing this week, so I just wanted to kind of put our 2 cents as the guys podcast on it. It's basically this like hierarchy ranking of like your mom, your wife, your sister, and your daughter. Like, what is the priority there? Let me first start off by ranking them personally, because I'm just going to do the trend, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents about the argument. It's your wife first, and then it's your mother, and then it's your daughter, and then it's your sister. Yeah. And then I'll go back to my debate. This is a stupid argument. It makes 0 sense. It's not a competition. And so as a man or like any person with a wife, if you find a balance. And so like you should be able to balance the needs of your wife and your family, whether it be your daughter, your son, with your mother. And so like I explained it on social media in response to someone that was like, it's your wife, it shouldn't even be who's sitting in the front seat. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like my mom told my fiance to get in the front seat while I drove. Like she told, so it's like it's not a debate. And so I get the argument from a lot of wives that say it's got to be me, and I see the argument from a lot of moms that like y'all could get a divorce. And then I see the argument of daughters, like it's got to be daughters, sisters. I'm sorry, Kevlin, but like, come on, think about it. You have daughter. So yeah, I think it's a stupid argument. As a man, I feel like I have the ability to be able to balance that. And if there's ever tension between those parties involved, I think you have to really step back and evaluate the intricacies of those relationships and how we can mend those. Because if your wife feels like you're neglecting her for the mother, and if the mother feels like you're neglecting her for the wife, I don't think that's a good balance anyways. And that clearly seems like there'd be tension in that relationship as a whole, and that's the focus should be on that, and not like, let me balance the two people that potentially don't like each other. And so yeah, when your mother gets older, you got to take care of her, and maybe that's going to be more time away from your wife, but your wife, that's your wife's mom now, so she should agree with it. And the same would go for my wife's mom. And so I think there's a balance. Your daughter's going to need some time that she is going to need to be leaned on if she's struggling with relationships or finances or, you know, things that's growing up. I'm sorry if I'm taking any of y'all's talking points, but like, it's a balance. Your sister goes through things. Our sister has gone through things where we should have leaned on her more than we did. And that's something I've told her directly. Like, that was a mistake of me. Like, I failed you as a brother. And so it's a balance. I don't think there's a correct answer. I think it's a stupid argument, but we're going to talk about it anyways. Caleb, don't get in trouble though.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to go? I'm going to say daughter is top of the list, then wife, then mother, then sister. The reason I say that is because...
Say that again. Sorry, it was a little low.
Daughter, my
Yeah.
do I need to
Tiny
turn my
bit.
mic up? Okay, so I'm gonna say daughter, wife, mother,
Daughter
and
first,
then
okay.
sister. And the reason I say that is because once you have a child,
I don't want to cut you off. Let me ask you a question. Are you saying like
Go ahead.
forever, like for the rest of your life. Okay.
No, not for the rest of your life. But
That's
I
why
mean,
this
if you,
argument's stupid.
I
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
there's
Go
a
ahead.
caveat. So it's a stupid argument. I do agree, but I think that once you have a child and you have someone to take care of, it. I mean, there's nothing that should come before you taking care of your child. Doesn't matter if it's your daughter, son, whatever. Like that comes first. And so it doesn't matter if your wife is saying that, oh, I need this, I need that, I need this time, I need this money, I need whatever. It's like, no, my all of my extra energy, time, money, effort is going to go to my child, and you're just going to have to deal with it just because you want to make sure that you're setting this person up for success, and you have a responsibility because they did not ask to be, in this world, and it is your responsibility to make sure that they have everything that they need because while they are a kid, they can't take care of themselves. Your wife, your daughter, I mean, your wife, your mother, your sister, hopefully can take care of themselves if they need to. Um, but I will say, once your daughter grows up, it's your wife first, because you have then fulfilled your responsibility. Once your child is out of the house grown, again, you're setting them up to take care of themselves, and hopefully, like once they're gone, then it's you and your wife, and that's kind of the unit. Um, Mother, I think, is important, and I think that you do have to pay respect to your mother, and you do have to pay homage to the person who raised you and who put in that effort like you would do for your child. But at the same time, there is an extent to how much you can yield to your mother and how much you can give to her. You do want to obviously try your best for anybody who's family to give them the time, energy, resources that you have available. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to your family unit and your immediate family, I can't do something for someone who's not in that immediate circle, and have my wife or my child go without because I'm trying to give that to my mother. Um, and so who gets in the front seat, that really doesn't matter. If I feel like if you are arguing about that, if your mother and your daughter and and your wife are arguing about that, there's bigger issues. But when it comes down to resources, it's, do you have a child? Do you have a wife? And then I feel like after that, I feel like mother and sister kind of like right there just because it's family. And so it really doesn't matter, mother, sister, brother, cousin, whatever. Like, you want to try to do for your family what you can, but when it comes to your immediate unit,
I want to rebuttal a little bit before you go, Andre. Caleb, I thought you were going to go the biblical route. Oh, like it says in the Bible about your wife being number one. It says that it's in the text.
Yeah, I mean it is, but I mean just from a practical standpoint, like that's the person I live with every day. That's the person like who I made the vow to be there for better, for worse, sickness, health, all that stuff. And so I didn't make
I'm
that
talking
promise
about
to my mama.
your
I'm
daughter.
sorry,
So
and
like
I love my
it
mom.
basically lays out that the husband wife dynamic sets the tone for everything else, and so it is wife, and that's what all the wives will come back and say about the Bible and all that stuff. And then the daughters will say, "Well, I'm blood, like y'all can get, like I said earlier." And then the mom is like, "I raised you," and so I will let Andre go. I think it's a stupid argument.
So first of all, I want to say it is a very stupid argument. Y'all took a lot of my talking points, but I'm just gonna go for it. And also, when Caleb texted me, he's like, "Yeah, man, it's a mother, sister, daughter, wife debate." I'm like, "What on earth is this?" And I just want to be real for everyone watching. I had about 2 hours to prepare. So I'm recently married. Got married at the end of May.
Congrats, man.
Um, I appreciate it. Thank you. Family's all in Minnesota, and I got this job down here in Texas. So my wife and I said, "Let's go. Let's start with our family." And Caleb drugged me along down here. And it's a big thing. Family is a I think it all comes down to family, and it comes down to like phases of life, as you guys were kind of hinting at. So here's my listing, and I'm gonna tell you a little inside. My wife and I got in a little debate about this, and maybe I'm in the doghouse, maybe I'm sleeping on the guest bed. We'll find out later. But what I went with is daughter, wife, and mother, sister. Not to copy Caleb, but my reasoning and what I kind of came down to is, less than 3 months or over 3 months ago, I had that conversation for sickness or for health, all of that, and that meant a lot to me. But if I have the opportunity and my wife and I decide that we want to bring, a human being into this world who didn't have that opportunity, that wasn't asked if they wanted this, or wasn't asked if they're ready to like live in whatever world they're going to live in, everything's going to go to them. And how that argument came about, I'm sorry, discussion. My wife's like, the house is burning down. Your daughter and your wife are in there. Who are you saving first? I said, my daughter, hands down. She's like, wait,
Whoa!
what? Hold on.
She's
Let me
told
explain.
you that?
I might be getting it.
No, that's not. I'm defending you. That's a.
Well, I appreciate it.
Whoa! She put you on the
So
spot.
this is what we said. Oh yeah, this is what we said, and I know she can hear me too, so she might be coming back here. But this is what we talked about. I said, our daughter, we're raising her, right? If this happens, we're raising her. Maybe she doesn't know how to tell if there's a fire. She doesn't know to touch the handle. The handle's hot. There's a fire behind that door. As my wife, you have gone through life in so many different ways than I have. You have these experiences from your parents, and I hope you can tell if there's a fire in our house. So I'm saving my daughter first, and then yeah, I'm coming back for you. But like this is biologically, I created this being here with me, and I love her as much as I love you, and sometimes more. And I'm gonna take care of that. And that's where that argument comes in. And then we both agreed, because I was talking over with my wife before this about where mother and sister fall. We don't have like super close relationships with each other's in-laws at this moment, so it's a little weird kind of like balancing that out. But when thinking about, as Caleb said, like sister and mother, essentially they were a part of your childhood, right? They raised you. But what I was saying earlier, and I'm starting to ramble, my apologies.
Keep talking as long as you need.
Oh no, I'm going. But as I was saying earlier, it kind of comes in phases, right? You're thinking of like, okay, age 1 to 18, who's really, of those four we mentioned, wife, daughter, mother, sister, going to have a really big impact in your life. If you have a wife by 18, hey, good for you. You're pioneering. Go for that. But like mother and sister are going to be there, right? For better or for worse, they're going to be there. Maybe they're going to teach you some hard lessons. Maybe you're going to learn those hard lessons on your own. But at the end of the day, thinking about how stupid this debate is, and I'm going to say that out loud, so if someone is listening to me in a different room, it is a stupid debate, but I think someday, as someone who does hope to have a little girl, it would be my daughter first, and then my wife. So
Yeah, I'm gonna back up and say that decision. That's like, okay, and I hate to bring this up because I know it may be triggering to some people, but there was a debate or a story online a while ago about your wife being like in labor and you having to make that decision. It's kind of like if you all watch House of the Dragon. Basically,
I know what
basically that episode 1 decision. And so I personally, I said 100% I'm going to choose my wife because I don't think that's fair to her. Unless she like explicitly told me this, like that's what she wanted me to do. But I don't feel like we would ever be in that position, so I don't think it's fair of that. But you make great points about the daughter and them being able to live their life. It's not fair. So it's just like so many different things. It's like I don't like this competition to like have this comparative suffering and tragedy. It's like, but the fire thing, that is just like insane. Like I'll at that point just like burn so they can't blame you. It's so bad. Like, what are you supposed to do?
I mean, I told her there's no really win. I told her at this point it would actually go daughter, then the cats, and then her, and then she was, the conversation.
That might have been that. But I already said, like, look, Zeus, he's somewhere. He's right here in the window. Sorry, bro. Zeus can make it out. He can make it out if he needs to. But yeah, anything else to add to that conversation, Caleb?
Nah, I think y'all hit most of it. I think one thing that Andre said that's really true is it does come in phases, and what you're saying is like there shouldn't be a competition to begin with. You should be able to balance your relationships with people and give people what they need specific to them. And just because you're giving something to somebody doesn't mean that you're diminishing what the other person means to you. It just it's very stupid.
All right, so This last topic, it's not even the topic, it's just having a conversation because I think sometimes saying things out loud helps people in venting. I was hoping to have more of like us here, like more guys to kind of talk and bounce things off of. I just want to see like how we're doing. Obviously, us three work in higher ed, so like it has been go, 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 go. And so I just wanted to check in with everyone how they're doing. I actually let Andre start because we've been taking a lot of his like thoughts and ideas, so I want to allow him to be able to go first.
Listen, if y'all want to go, I'm sure I can come with it on the fly, but I appreciate it. So we're gonna go. You know, mental health. How am I doing? Check-in wise, things have been surprisingly better. I'm not going to talk about where I used to work, but coming to a huge school compared to where I used to be, challenges, moving 1,800 miles away from all family, except if I want to call Caleb something. I mean, I guess the guy's here with me, but like, starting brand spanking new, you're going to be like, what's going on? Like, how do I find that baseline? How do I? And I found it. I can't really say how it happened. My wife got a full time job about 3 weeks ago, and she's been just getting in the groove, and she's there now. And my work has actually been pretty rewarding. I actually was caught overworking and had to have a discussion with a few members of my staff of why I should not be working as much. And it's just things have been good. I've actually started reading for pleasure again. Haven't done that in a long time, and it's just I'm finding more of like the small enjoyable things. And as you know, the podcast says the boys,
The guys.
the guys,
guys.
not the
No,
boys,
you're good,
my
you're
bad.
good.
The guys, we're better than that. Coming from the guys though, one thing, and coming back to a tiny bit of the last conversation, at my previous place I worked, I didn't have time to prioritize my wife and my fiance at the time. Here, I've been making that time. I've been more intentional about it. And I know she's noticed it, but like I'm noticing it now as a rational thing. And it says, you know how they say, like, it takes 4 weeks to build a habit, 8 weeks for someone else to notice, and 12 weeks to like change it forever, whatever it is. I feel like I'm on that path of changing something for the better, not only for myself personally, but for my unit and moving away from everyone 1,800 miles. I mean, I'm putting down the anchor, and I'm sitting down ready for the long haul here. So I'm doing good though. So I'm gonna, whoever wants to build off of that, take it away.
Go ahead, Gil. Oh, you got it.
Go ahead, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I can echo a lot of similar things. They're recently moved as well. I mean, we moved basically a week apart from each other from Wisconsin to Lubbock, Texas. A lot of apprehensions and a lot of things that could have potentially gone wrong, if I'm being honest. But I think that in spite of there being, a lot of work to do and a lot of new things to learn, just being able to be in a place where, I mean, financially, you don't really have to worry about anything. You have a good support system. And for me, like being able to move in with my girlfriend, and her getting settled and her getting a full-time gig and all that stuff, it really does feel good to know that like not only am I in a good space, but like I'm in a good space with someone I really care about. And it's not always easy. I mean, there are challenges and there are times where it does get a little difficult. Like I'm not saying that doesn't exist, especially in the field of work that we're in. Like there are a lot of burdens and issues that we have to deal with that aren't personal to us, but we can sometimes take those things on. But in the grand scheme of things, I think that, I mean, I'm truly blessed and in a good place. And I think that in terms of mental health, like it hasn't always been easy. I mean, I think 2 years ago, I think it's almost exactly 2 years ago, I probably was in the worst place I've ever been, just because there was a lot of life transitions, a lot of things going on with family, with relationships, with me personally trying to learn and grow. And I think that from that, I had to realize that mental health needed to be a priority. And not only that, that I needed to find a space where I could be myself and learn and grow. And I think that just kind of the story how I ended up working, at my previous job, meeting Andre, is like I was, in Texas during COVID. Breakup happens, all these things. I mean, that breakup was 6, 7, 8 months long, but whatever. We could talk about that a different day. But that happens, puts me in this really bad space. But I think from that, it was really a blessing in disguise because it forced me to really focus on my mental health and focus on what I was doing in order to, find happiness and how I was finding happiness and what I was relying on to be happy. And I think that that journey, 2 years, to now, has really taught me that like it doesn't matter the space you're in, and it doesn't matter the person you're with. You shouldn't rely on your space or on someone else for your happiness. And I think that I'm really at that place right now, and it really has been a growth opportunity, and I feel like there's still work to do, but I am very happy that that I'm in a good place.
Good to hear. It's funny because I created this question, but I don't know the answer to it for me personally, because I don't think that I forget to prioritize this for me, but like I find it difficult for me to gauge where I am because I feel like I'm so focused on my fiance and my job and things that I feel like I tell myself is potentially more important to me, which is not true. Because my mental health it's going to be reflected in those other areas. And so I think I'm doing fine. I'm not trying to say like this is a cry for help at all. I just think that I find myself at times needing to tell myself that I need to have conversations with people and tell them how I feel and have more conversations like this. That's why we had the podcast in the first place, was to just kind of vent, have conversations amongst each other and things like that. So I think this was a part of me saying that we needed to do it again, was maybe saying like, I need this for my mental health, and to prioritize my space because, like I mentioned at the very beginning, I work in esports. And so video games is essentially my life. I also do campus recreation, so love that as well. Love officiating, less by the day, but I still love it. And so, like, I find myself so locked into that. Like, last night, I didn't get home till late. The day before that, I didn't get home till late. So, like, because I'm working with video games, and then sometimes I come home, and I'm, like, watching film from home, helping them out. And then it's like, I want to hop on and play the game just for me and my friends for an hour. But then that's taking away from my fiance, who feels like I've been neglected. So, like, my mental health, I feel like, could be better. And I love, Andre, you said you start reading for pleasure again. I actually have been trying to get back into that. It's just hard for me mentally to get into a rhythm of that with what my schedule is and what my fiance's schedule is and reading in bed and things like that. So I need to just stop making excuses of what I'm not doing. And I had a conversation with my boss earlier this week. I think that was saying like, at the end of the day, like we need to prioritize our home life because, he's having another child, so he's just saying it from his perspective, and me being going into a marriage soon, of like starting off on the right foot and not putting so much time into the kids, and finding ways in which we can better balance that. And so whether that be a graduate assistant, more help with staff and things like that, I'm really looking forward to trying to figure out those ways, because it'll be great professional and life experience for me, but definitely need to be able to find more ways to cope and have conversations and do those things and lean on family and friends more. So I'm just going to be quite frank with it. I don't think that I'm doing as good as I can because I have neglected to focus on that area as much as I need to. But I'm super happy, well fed, have a job, employed, have a house.
You got the cat
The
behind
cat
you.
is he back there? Where is he? Zeus.
Other side.
Zeus. Oh, there he is. Hey, Zeus. What's up? He doesn't like me that much, to be honest with you. So, she got Zeus. It's her cat. She got Zeus in 2020 COVID, right before COVID, or right during COVID. And so he's such a mama's boy. And then I moved in when I moved back from Arizona, and he only will come and hang out with me when she's not here. So she left, and now he's like right under me. So, but yeah, I don't want to be dark. I love my life. I'm super in love with my fiance. I'm super excited for our future. We have our daily stresses of work and all that stuff. But super happy, but just always trying to be happier. Don't want to be content. Have that LeBron James mentality, just like, never satisfied, So yeah, that's all the main topics we have. We're actually almost like exactly at an hour. I have pulled up one gotta go. She'll have some topics. I'm gonna go to the breakfast food. Breakfast food. Where are you at? I know off the top of my head it is pancakes, waffles, French toast, and cinnamon rolls, which is not really breakfast, but at Whataburger they have cinnamon rolls. So a good cinnamon roll.
By the way, Andre's not a huge fan of
Culver's guy?
Whataburger.
So hold on. I haven't had a good experience, and as Caleb keeps telling me, I need to learn how to order Whataburger correctly. So I'm, pending on having a good experience. I'm just waiting.
What is like your tier list of like fast food burger? Like you eat burgers, I assume. Like what is that ranking for you?
Yes. Chris, you're talking to a guy who worked at Culver's for 7.5 years.
You're Culver's.
Man.
Okay. You're not a Culver's.
No,
now.
I can never eat there.
Wow.
I can never eat there. I mean, as the saying is, after seeing how the sausage is made, you just can't do it. Like I worked there for 7.5 years. I know it's fresh ingredients. This is not me bashing anything. Like I know it's good. I just can't do it. Thinking about burgers, man. Wow, you put me on the spot. What is my tier list? I'm
so we're switching this.
Caleb, go.
I can go too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's easy.
Shake Shack is number one. Not even a question.
Okay, so let's back up.
It's,
I don't consider Five Guys fast food, so I'm gonna put that out there. I don't think Five Guys.
No, Five Guys not fast food.
That's just me.
So I'm going Shake Shack. Whataburger. Wendy's. Culver's. And then I guess you can say McDonald's.
So now you lost me.
I have. When's the last time you've gone to Wendy's and not gotten a full
like 2 weeks ago, and it was the worst burger I ever had. I was like, "This is horrible."
What'd you get?
Single.
What did you get?
It was horrible. Sorry. I'll get my tier list though. I'm just pulling it up because there's a lot.
But I will say, In-N-Out is not in my upper echelons. Is
it fast food?
It's fine.
All right. Here's mine.
Yeah, I call In-N-Out fast food.
Oh, you said In-N-Out. Sorry. I didn't hear you say that. All right. Shake Shack.
In-N-Out.
Whataburger. Culver's. Burger King. Burger King. McDonald's. Rocks Dirt. In-N-Out is horrible. And then at the very bottom, like Purgatory, White Castle, bro. What are we talking about, bro? White Castle?
Okay, hold on. I missed a little bit of that. So did I hear you say you could eat rocks and dirt over White Castle?
In-N-Out is not good to me. In-N-Out, okay. Let me back up. I'm being over for the amount of hype that In-N-Out gets. It's not bad. It really maddens me. The burger is mid. Like, it's solid. It's fresh. It's not touching Culver's, and it's not touching. The fries are
trash.
If you don't get them animal style, which it's not in my flavor palette, it is not good, bro. Their fries taste like cardboard, bro. I'd rather have like the Krabby, when the Krabby Patty he turned it into a pizza. I'd rather eat that. A SpongeBob. That is just and. Before you go, Andre, I'm going on a rant for a second. Stop the hate of McDonald's. I've had it. There's a reason McDonald's is everywhere. McDonald's is not that bad. Their fries are amazing when they're fresh. The McDouble got us through the struggle. So let's stop this mess. McDonald's is fine. The Big Mac has sauce. It's fine. Let's stop acting like we're too good for McDonald's. McDonald's is solid. I'm not saying it's top tier. I'm not saying it's top tier. My top 5. I would still go to a lot of places over McDonald's, but let's stop it. I am going to stand up for McDonald's and all the hate that they get. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andre.
All right, so mine is unconventional. As I said, I worked for Culver's for 7.5 years. I'm gonna revise my list though. It's not Culver's is not the bottom. Okay, at the top, and this is gonna get some flack, and that's okay because I really don't eat a lot of burgers anymore. But when I do, Wendy's is the way to go. So I go Wendy's. I go Wendy's.
Yes.
After that, I'm gonna buy in on it. It is McDonald's. That I mean, it is consistent. It has been there. My cat is eating something it shouldn't, so I may have to pause this and go over there. Hold on 1 second.
Go ahead, go ahead. But yeah, going back, it's just like I have a list of like fast food pulled up. Steak and Shake is, if you consider that fast food, they do have a drive-through. I think Steak and Shake is
it's
better
okay.
than In-N-Out. I think Steak and Shake.
Well,
I put over Sonic also, and Dairy Queen.
The more that you have
I
Steak
know,
and Shake,
but,
the
like,
worse
price to
it
performance
gets.
also. I don't. Dairy Queen is just not consistent. Sonic to me is hit or miss. I don't go to Sonic for burgers, but Wendy's though.
Okay, so
Wendy's
I'm coming back.
hits.
So Wendy's, McDonald's, okay, and then following that, because I believe, and even though I work there, I'm gonna go Culver's. It's gonna get there. Um, you were right about the rocks and dirt over White Castle. I will disagree. And in fourth, I mean, y'all, I haven't had a good experience, but I'm gonna put Whataburger up there because I see the menu; it has potential, right? Like I just gotta find it. And then last but not least, I've had a decent experience actually with Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, so I would put them.
Yeah,
I put them
I
there.
apologize to Carl's Jr.'s. I've had them like once. It was
Yeah.
not in like I need to go back experience to me. And like the price at the time I went, the price to me was like kind of high. And I was in like college, so I'm broke. I'm like, why would I go here when I can just go to McDonald's? But yeah, man, we could go about this all day, to be honest.
I will give an honorable mention. I have not had it yet, but apparently Brahms is legit.
I haven't had it either, but I've heard that it's a knockoff Culver's, not as good. So I don't even know if I want to give it honorable mention. I mean, I got to eat it first before I can say that.
Yeah, I've heard because the area we're in, it's like an Oklahoma thing. I guess apparently it's really good. It's like their thing. I have to try it, but I will mention it just because we're
All right,
in this
so
area.
that just settles it. We're gonna have to have a tier list. Coming back with the tier list.
Oh, so one. I thought we were gonna say one got to
We
go
can't-
with the fast
we-
food, and we
We gotta go with the breakfast, but I think there's just so many fast foods on here. We gotta come back with the restaurant tier list. So stay tuned for that. And we'll have Andre back if he is free for that. But yeah, for me, I'll just go quick. I know we're kind of belaboring the point. For me, if you've ever been to Lolo's or Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles gotta stay. Waffles. You might not be a waffles guy, but that combination is undefeated. Pancakes from Cracker Barrel. You gotta keep them. Gotta keep them. And then like a fresh homemade cinnamon roll. Like, come on, man. To me, French toast has just never been that. It has like too much of an egg flavor for me. But so I would say that's gotta go. That one's kind of easy to me. That's why I was a little bit hesitant. But maybe y'all have more, triggering points.
I don't know. I'm not a huge cinnamon roll guy. I mean, they're good, but I'd consider it more of a dessert. And even when I do get it, I can only eat like half.
But we're
It's
talking about
just
we're talking about the
too
taste, though. Have you eaten the
much
cinnamon?
happening for me. I mean, yes, it's very good, but in terms of just on a consistent basis, what I'm going to eat for breakfast, I'm not gonna go for a cinnamon roll. It's just like I might eat a cinnamon roll for breakfast,
Full
maybe
disclosure before
once
I
a
let you go
year,
on
maybe.
that. I don't eat breakfast for breakfast. I rarely ever eat breakfast for breakfast. I am more of a like if IHOP, Denny's, Cracker Barrel, Lolo's, Roscoe's, like they serve breakfast all day, so like I will eat it for like dinner. So I don't like necessarily say every morning I wake up and I eat, so just saying that there.
But even if you do go to one of those places or go to somewhere that has all these things on the menu, I would well, no, cinnamon toast. I mean, French toast is kind of down there, but I'd go French toast over a cinnamon roll.
So I respect all the opinions. Let's just start there. But now here's the list. All right, and here's the correct list. And some of you were hitting on the head, and then some of y'all just went at cinnamon rolls. And I have a proposal here, y'all. So it's waffles. Okay, waffles are top tier. You cannot change that in my mind, no matter what. Give it back to grandma in the days you'd make like the mix. You put it in the waffle maker. Perfection. Pancakes is next. Pancakes, you never had a bad pancake. Wherever you go, pancakes are pancakes. You can make them at home. They're decent. Now insert cinnamon roll, but I'm gonna take that out. A caramel roll, a fresh caramel roll with some hot caramel. I don't eat dessert, Chris. I've been telling Caleb this my whole life. I do not like dessert. I secretly do. I just don't eat it a lot. That's why I say I don't like it. It's psychological, right? So I don't eat it. Caramel rolls is a weakness. I'm done. French toast. I'm sorry. You're giving me a piece of bread with a little bit of cinnamon and then egg yolk. Yeah, throw it out. It's gone. Let's just trash it. I can't.
I'm not a fan
of that list. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Man, of the French toast.
I'm not saying I'm a fan of French toast. But if I had
to say you would never
if
eat
I had
something
to
ever
eat
again,
breakfast,
that's what one got to go is French
toast.
toast. Come on, bro.
So
Like,
you're saying
it's
for
a
breakfast or
food,
just
but it's
ever?
ever. Like I just said, it's just that thing. The item never exists.
I mean,
It's a lot.
it'd be French toast, but I thought we were saying for breakfast.
It just happens to be breakfast foods. But if you take that one away, you can never eat it ever, not
French
just
toast.
outside of. Oh
Then French
I
toast.
thought-
It's
Unanimously,
Honestly,
French toast
I've
is
had this
dead.
conversation and people just love French toast, and I just don't get it. So, all right, so we are at time. I don't want to belabor the point. I appreciate you, Andre. It was a really fun time. We'll have to have you back, like if you are free. Love to have you back, Caleb. As always,
Oh, I'm good.
as always, a pleasure. Thank you all for joining us. If you made it this far, we should do like an Easter egg or a giveaway one of these days. But we appreciate you all. Make sure to like it if you're on Facebook, follow, whatever it is. YouTube, subscribe. We're at 400 subscribers on my page, and then that was at 399. It's because I don't make enough content. That's on me. But thank you all for watching. Really appreciate the support, even if you just had it in the background. Just letting us rant a little bit, vent, and have this safe space for us. And so appreciate you once again, and have a great night or evening or day or workout or morning. Peace.